Welcome back to the Daily Brief. Of course, we will keep briefing you on what's happening in the country and beyond. My name is Shiksha Arora, joined by the sign language interpreter this morning, that is Wagaki Mudhoni. Right now, at least 14 people perished and scores of others were injured in a midnight road crash near Awasi along the Kisumu-Kericho highway. And to give us more details on the same, the National Transport Safety Authority Director General, that is Francis Meja, alongside police spokesman Charles Owino, are currently addressing. Let's listen in to what they have to say regarding this accident.
Ferrying the cargo along the corridor, but I think I'm not the best placed person to comment on that. However, as in ourselves, we will really wish if that can be the case, so that we limit the number of trucks that are operating on our roads.
I think you are satisfied. We can no, it's enough. You have given your question. So I can give you last opportunity, but it should be relevant.
So you say these are preliminary reports. So as from police, when are you giving full report?
You've just heard that they have taken technical persons to undertake proper investigations, actual investigations, because some of these things are technical. Like when I was telling you about speeding, I said this is from a statement from an eyewitness, and you may not rely on that. So we really need the technical explanation. Remember that the accident was so severe that sometimes even the speedometer may have been destroyed. So you need technical persons to be able to get into some of these details that we require. It's not something you just do ordinarily. So once they give us the report, because they are the technical persons, then I think we'll be able to inform you, or they will be able to release it. Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Now on to an accident that occurred on 1st September, which involved the 14-seater matatus. 6 people died, 9 others were injured, and that is one of the many cases where many people die, especially in accidents that now have these 14-seater matatus. Does the agency consider revising rules or standards that guide the construction of these 14-seater matatus?
Yes, it is a concern to us that the body construction of these vehicles are not ideal. In fact, actually in other countries, these are not meant for passenger. They are meant for cargo. We are looking at what are the options that are available to enhance safety. But the most important thing, and I must emphasize thing, we can avoid many of these accidents if drivers were to be a little more careful. Issues of speeding, overtaking carelessly, results to such fatalities. You can do so much, but if you don't change the behavior of the person behind the wheels, all these interventions may not work. So we are zeroing in on the person who is behind the wheel, the driver.
All right, thank you so much, and welcome again. Thank you for attending. Thank you so much.
Certainly.
Yeah.
All right, of course, that is what the Kenya National Transport Authority joined with the police spokesperson, Charles Owino, and of course what they've said with regards to the accident that took the lives of at least 14 people yesterday along the Kericho-Kisumu highway. And of course, it is quite sad to note that 38 others have also been injured. And when we spoke to our reporter, Baraka Karama, he's also mentioned that 3 are in critical condition. So that's something that we'll definitely be following up and getting more details with regards to what exactly is happening in Kisumu. And remember, the patients, the casualties have been taken to Jaramogi Hospital. That's where they are seeking treatment. And of course, we are going to be giving you more details with regards to what happens with this particular story. But for now, National Assembly Majority Leader Aden Duale has threatened to table the names of all members of Parliament who have been skipping their legislative duties in the chambers speakers and committees, effectively stifling the legislative process. And according to Duale, a section of MPs have been drawing huge sums of money in allowances for parliamentary sessions and committee sittings that they did not attend. Daniel Kuryuki has that report.
I wanted to comment on the issue that was raised by
They were elected to represent and legislate laws on behalf of their constituents. But despite drawing millions of shillings in salaries and allowances, details emerging from Parliament says a number of MPs have been skipping sessions after keying in their attendance and immediately leaving the chambers. Leader of Majority Eden Duale has now vowed to name and shame the concerned MPs who have literally been stealing from the public.
It's very shameful. Some of us sit here from 2:30 to 7. We are not paid more than those who don't come.
The director of committees keeps those reports, those records. I have raised this issue in the past.
A section of MPs, however, attributed their absence in the chambers to commitments in various House committees.
Some of us were put in committees that we have no idea about. The ones we chose were denied. So some of these things can actually discourage members from being committed to a committee.
You cannot have the cake and eat it. You cannot accuse me of not putting you in a committee when you not attend it.
Those that have missed attending their committees more than 3 times be removed from those committees, and others be given the opportunity to serve in those committees.
Cabinet secretaries have also been put on notice over their continued habit of skipping committees as summons, with Duale being accused of not taking up the matter seriously.
But I want you to establish a firm and a strong follow-up mechanism and a structured communication of making sure that cabinet secretaries appear before us.
According to Chapter 8, Part 2, Section 103 of the Constitution, a member can lose his seat if during any session of Parliament the member is absent from 8 sittings of the relevant House without permission in writing from the Speaker and is unable to offer satisfactory explanation for the absence to the relevant committee. Attention will be on Parliament next week when the Leader of Majority is expected to table the list of absentee MPs. Daniel Kuryuki, K24 Evening Edition.
That was a report by Daniel Kuryuki yesterday, and of course telling you what is happening today, where at least 14 people perished and scores of others were injured in the midnight road crash near Awasi along the Kisumu-Kericho highway. Now, this accident involved an Eldoret Express bus traveling from Kisumu and a trailer heading the opposite direction. Confirming the incident, the Kenya Red Cross said 35 casualties with multiple injuries have been evacuated to Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Teaching and Referral Hospital, Awasi Mission Hospital and Hope Medical Hospital. And still on the same, earlier on in the morning, Director General Francis Meja of the National Transport Safety Authority, as well as police spokesman, that is Charles Owino, had a press briefing. And of course, let's listen in to what they had to say with regards to this accident. Let's listen in.
The National Police Service wishes to inform the public that yesterday on 3rd October 2019 at around 23:00 hours, that is 11 p.m., there was an unfortunate fatal traffic accident at Pala area in Awasi along the Kisumu-Kericho highway. The accident involved a passenger bus, registration number KCF 728G, belonging to Eldoret Express, which had 51 passengers on board. It was driving towards Kericho from Kisumu direction, and a truck KBS 744T and a trailer ZE0256 driving towards Kisumu from Kericho direction. Preliminary reports indicate that on reaching Pala area, the bus driver lost control and drove on the opposite lane, occasioning a head collision with the said truck. 11 passengers and both drivers lost their lives instantly. Passengers who sustained serious injuries were rushed to different hospitals for treatment, but a number of them have now been referred to Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Hospital in Kisumu. Bodies of the deceased were moved to Ahero Sub-County Hospital mortuary, awaiting post-mortem. We wish to convey our heartfelt condolences to the families and friends of the deceased and wish the injured a quick recovery. We also continue to urge all road users to be extra careful, always observe the highway code and avoid exceeding speed limits, more so at night. Thank you so much. So may we get the questions? Let the questions be brief, be reasonable, to either what affects the DG and what maybe you think affects the police. Yes. Yes, madam.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Leila Mohammed from NTV. I just want to understand who was on the road here. Is it the truck driver or the bus driver? And at this juncture, the roads continue to bleed Kenyans dry. What systems are there being taken to ensure that many more lives are not lost in such a manner?
So I think I'll explain the course, and the DG will explain what he has put in place, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. So preliminarily, from the eyewitnesses or the people who are in the bus who have not got seriously injured, claim that the oncoming truck was on very high speed and it did not dim the light, so the driver seemed to have been blinded, lost control, and got involved in and ended up getting a head-on collision. But this is subject to this is just a preliminary report from a bystander. These are subject to further investigations to establish exactly what could have happened. Remember, it's just after Awasi towards Kericho. There's a steep depression and then a straight line. So we will be able to tell exactly what could have happened. Did she?
Yeah, thank you very much. And the question is, what is being done? Definitely, the number of people we are losing on our roads is unacceptably high. This is a problem that requires a lot of intervention from all stakeholders. And we must all play our rightful role in doing so. One of the biggest challenges we are having, in my opinion, is that if you look at the accidents and the data that we have, the largest contributor to this is human behavior, specifically the driver. The decision that the driver takes is very critical. And in some of the interventions that we have put in place, we are now zeroing in on the drivers. And in a meeting actually held on 25th of last month, chaired by the Cabinet Secretary Interior, where we had all the county commanders in place, we zeroed in and said that the best way to deal with this thing is to deal with the drivers. And a process, an elaborate process as per the law, is being put in place to ensure that driving licenses for those people who are putting the public at risk are withdrawn early enough. And that is going on. However, just a few things to add on to that. If you look at the PSV industry in general, there's been, about 2 or 3 years ago, they were the second contributor to fatalities. After private motorists, it was PSV, then commercial vehicles, then boda boda. We have seen a shift. PSV now have moved to position 4, thanks to some of the interventions on the PSV regulations that we've been implementing. Private motorists currently are leading, followed by heavy commercial vehicles, boda boda, then followed by PSV. We are indeed very worried, especially with the boda boda, because up to yesterday, the 1st of this month, there's been an increase of about 30% in fatalities. So I think that's an area that we really must put our efforts to enforce the law, because there is total disregard to the law in that sector.
Yes.
Sijui unasemaje kuhusu swala hilo. Kisha labda tungependa kujua muundo labda wa magari haya, labda huenda muundo ama design huenda kulichangia labda ajali hii kutokea jana, na pia tungependa kujua hapo awali kulikuwa na mambo ya kudhibiti mwendo. Sijui kama tena labda ilikuwa, kwa maana msemaji wa polisi anasema kwamba gari ambazo zilisababisha ajali ilikuwa inakuja kwa kiasi lakini kwa mwangaza. Kisha msemaji labda ni watu 13 ama 11.
Ile kitu inanisumbua na wewe sana, mara mingi tukiwa na press conference usikizi sijui kama unafikiria mambo zingine, kwa sababu hata ile swali umeuliza DG ya pikipiki ni kama hukuwa unasikiza DG vizuri, kwa sababu DG hajasema ajali imetokea kwa sababu ya bodaboda. DG amesema kwamba kulingana na ile ratings saa hii private motor vehicle ndio inafanya ajali zaidi, inafuatwa na heavy commercial na bodaboda, na PSV inakuwa number 4. Kwa mbeleni ilikuwa PSV ni number 2 kulingana na vile nimesikiza. Na pia amesema kwamba ajali ya bodaboda imeongezeka kwa 30%. Na mimi nilisema kwamba wale yenye wamefariki ni passengers 11 na madriver 2, na hiyo inakuwa 13. Wengine hesabu ilikuwa shida kidogo.
Kuna swali umeuliza jinsi muundo ya hii gari. Lakini wacha kwanza nieleze kwa Kiingereza. The bus body construction. In 2017, specifically on 22nd of July 2017, a new standard for bus body construction took effect. The way the construction of the bus is done. Any new bus that is coming into the country or is being constructed in the country is conforming to that standard called KS 372. This is a result of what we have observed in previous accidents, such as in Tulele, Fort Tanan, those kind of accidents where the canopy of the bus upon crashing is completely destroyed. In the new standard, there is what we call anti-rolling bus. Continuous bus without having a breakage or without being welded in between. That strengthens the body of the bus, so that in the event of an impact, the severity of injuries and the damage is lessened. However, there are those buses which were constructed or which were in the market even before this standard came into effect. One of them being one of the buses that was involved in this crash. So it will take a while, and we are trying to see what is the best way to fast track those who are already in the market to make sure that they conform to the new standard. We believe the new standard will go a long way in addressing some of these concerns. On the issue of speed limiter, it's still too early to tell whether the truck or the bus were speeding. This morning we have sent our inspectors to go to the accident scene, and we'll be able to give a proper information once that has been confirmed.
Yes.
Right, of course, that is the press briefing by the NTSA Director General Francis Meja, as well as police spokesman Charles Owino, with regards to what happened earlier on. Of course, where 14 people lost their lives at this Awasi accident. Now remember, the statistics that have been given by DG, that's Director General NTSA, Francis Meja, and he says PSVs have moved from being the second leading cause of death on our roads to the fourth, and heavy commercial vehicles have actually moved up to becoming the leading cause of death. And of course, these are statistics by the Director General Francis Meja. So yes, we're definitely going to be giving you more details on that particular story. We'll also be covering what's going on at the hospitals in Kisumu. But for now, barely a week ago, after police launched an operation to kick out boda operators out of the Nairobi Central Business District for flouting city bylaws and traffic rules, the riders are back to their bad ways. As Victor Olo reports, the boda riders are speaking every rule in the book with arrogant impunity, causing annoyance and inconvenience to motorists and pedestrians alike.
These were the scenes that characterized the Nairobi Central Business District on Thursday last week as border riders engaged in a cat-and-mouse chase with the police and Nairobi County enforcement officers. Undercover officers stationed in strategic positions pounced on unsuspecting border riders, causing pandemonium as tear gas and sounds of gunshots rent the air. And when the dust had settled, hundreds of motorcycles impounded in the soup were taken to the Central Police Station, with several riders being arrested.
We have new regulations for border riders. There will be no riding on the wrong side, no carrying more than one passenger on a motorbike, no riding on the pavement.
But a week later, the rogue operators are back with wanton disregard for the law and other road users. Our cameras captured these riders riding on the wrong side of the road, others making wrong U-turns, while some blatantly put their lives and those of their pillion passengers in obvious danger by squeezing themselves in between narrow spaces. All these with a measure of arrogance.
Hao maskari ndio wanasababisha hao bodaboda wanakuwa na roho ngumu, kwa maana wanafanya operation kila pahali. Kama mimi huyu mwenzangu amekuambia ameshikwa hapa, ameenda huko Imende, ameambiwa hapa mbele ni kupaya, kunashikwa.
Polisi akikushika wanatuitisha pesa. Kanju akitushika wanatuitisha pesa. So ile shida tunachukia hao watu ni kwa sababu huyu mtu akona mshahara. Sisi hatuna mshahara.
The riders, however, say that they are ready to leave the Central Business District if only the Nairobi County government will allocate them alternative sites to operate.
Avoid CBD. We are not allowing any boda within CBD.
Almost every resident of Nairobi or visitor has had their fair share of bad experiences with border operators. The most affected ones are motorists who have to endure the nuisance of the riders and occasionally forced to repair their vehicles after being involved in accidents with the motorcyclists.
Overtaking wanaweza kuovertakea on your left. Sasa ukidhania tu ukienda kuangalia on your right, hao watu hawajali. Tena ukienda tu kidogo tu hivi ndio hao wamekuingia ndani, hata kukuongea nini side mirror.
Imefika to a point in Nairobi, if you are a driver in Nairobi, wakati una drive gari yako, uko kwa traffic, huwezi acha gap kubwa yenye itatoshea mtu aduthi hapo juu. The next minute utasikia bumper imeenda.
It is not the first time police have carried out crackdowns on border in Nairobi and other parts of the country. But it seems that the riders who were intended to ease movement in a congested city are proving difficult to regulate. Some even operate without proper safety gears like helmets and reflector jackets for the rider and the pillion passenger. Police and the City Inspectorate Department, however, insist that they will not relent until the riders are flushed out of the country's capital, Nairobi.
The crackdown on border operators to vacate the Nairobi Central Business District is not something new, but their question is, where will they go to after that?
Right, of course, and still on the same, bodabodas are actually the second leading cause of death on our roads, and this was stated by the NTSA Director General, I beg your pardon, Francis Meja, and that's what he had to say. The first being heavy commercial vehicles. And right, just before we go on our break, as part of events to mark the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the Ministry of Defence is holding a cancer awareness campaign targeting members of the Kenya Defence Force and their families. And yes, right behind me, those are live pictures from this particular event. The campaign actually intends to educate, reduce stigma, screen and treat cancer patients. The official launch of this particular exercise is happening this morning at the Kahawa Garrison. And of course, several dignitaries are attending this particular campaign, including Rachel Omamo. So we are going to be giving you more details with regards to what happens in the KDF Cancer Awareness Campaign, which intends to mark the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And on that note, it's time for a short break. We've got a lot lined up for you right after this break. Make sure you stay right there and don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.